Hello, everyone. My name is Maya Green. I am a senior at Southern Connecticut State University, and I will be presenting my TED Talk, which will also be my final presentation for my communications class, as this would be my last semester at Southern. In my TED Talk today, my topic will focus on social media, specifically focusing on social media shaping reality, or how social media shapes reality. I decided to pick this topic because over the course of the semester, I have done other presentations that focused around the idea of social media, but I haven't expanded the overall broad content of social media. And I felt that today it was only right for me to be able to apply that method to this topic for my final presentation. So, jumping into the topic, social media shapes reality, I just want you to take a second to think about the first thing you scrolled past today. Maybe it was a headline, maybe a breakup announcement, or some kind of celebrity gossip, or maybe even just a funny meme that might have ate up 10 minutes of your life. What's wild is that each of these tiny interactions shape how we see the world, believe it or not. Research summaries point out that social media has become one of the major places where people form identity and self-worth. And overall, social media isn't just a place that we visit anymore, but it's somewhere that we build our sense of reality. One of the things that we have to admit about social media is that we live on it constantly. We don't realize how much of our day is actually lived online. We scroll in bed, in class, possibly in line, maybe during a conversation with a friend. Social media has become our number one go-to in our daily lives. And because we spend so much time in that digital space, it affects us emotionally. A 2020 review in the Journal of Medical Internet Research found that heavy social media use is linked to higher anxiety, depression, and lower self-esteem. Yale Medicine even published guidance showing how constant scrolling disrupts emotional regulation, especially within young adults. So, effectively, online life has affected us just as much as our outside life. One of the biggest shifts in social media is that the truth isn't rising because of its accuracy, but rising because the algorithm thinks it's what will click. Studies from MIT and other platforms show that emotionally charged content, outrage, humor, or even shock is what gets pushed the hardest. This means that what we see on social media, on our platforms, on our algorithms, is shaped less by the truth, but more about whatever is going to keep us scrolling. This is how our truth isn't determined by the accuracy and what we see on social media, but more about what's more entertaining for us. Another thing about social media is that attention drives distortion. Platforms survive off of the attention we feed it. So the posts that end up winning are the posts that hit faster, which can be dramatic, extreme, or even exaggerated. A 2023 Nature study found that repeated exposure to sensational or misleading content increases the amount of stress, anxiety, and negative emotional spirals mentioned in a previous slide. Another analysis also found that algorithm-driven feeds can pull us into doom scrolling or even crisis thinking. You know those moments when you're in bed and you're like, oh, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes just scrolling. I'm not going to give it too much attention. And it ends up being until 3 a.m. That's the doom scrolling that they're referring to. So online, everything feels louder and scarier, but that's not because the world has changed, but because our feeds are what our feeds are engineered to. Social media didn't just change how we see the world, it changed how we see ourselves. We perform identity now. We curate highlight reels, and we measure worth in likes. There's a communication theory called hyper-personal model that explains why online versions of ourselves often feel more edited and idolized in real life. In a 2023 psychological review, it showed that constant comparison on social media directly lowers self-esteem and increases insecurity. Yale Medicine has also stressed that for teens and young adults, this comparison cycle is especially intense. The platforms reward performance more than honesty, and our identities start to bend towards that reward. And one of the most common things about social media is that misinformation travels fast. And misinformation can travel faster than the truth because it would hit us emotionally. Once a post hooks you from your feelings, the algorithm just shoots it forward. A 2024 Nature study found that exposure to fake news increases anxiety, depression, and confusion about what's real. And MIT researchers show that emotionally framed misinformation travels farther and faster than factual reporting. This isn't by accident, but it's how the system is structured to be. However, one of the biggest things that have a positive light on social media is that connection can build communities. Social media has helped so many marginalized people or people of color or people in different types of social groups build a community where they couldn't find that on offline or in real life. That's backed by multiple studies, including a review in psychiatry research showing that online spaces can increase social support and belonging. There's people who have found other people like them, stories that can get shared amongst others, movements that were born. Social media can harm, but it can absolutely 100% heal. Another positive aspect to social media is that voices gain visibility. And one of the biggest transformations on social media is the rise in citizen journalism. From this, we are no longer limited to what traditional media decides to show us, and people can record what's happening in real time and upload it instantly. An example of this would be the 2014 Ferguson shooting in regards to an 18-year-old Michael Brown who has been shot by Officer Darren Wilson. Outside of that, researchers writing in healthcare and computers and human behavior noted that this gives visibility to voices and experiences that were historically ignored. The visibility changes who gets believed and also who doesn't. Almost coming to an end about the topic of social media. The main question isn't, is social media good or bad? The real question behind it is how intentional am I when I use it? Digital well-being studies recommend simple shifts. Noticing why the algorithm is showing you something, learning how to set boundaries, pausing before reacting to what you are seeing, and curating your feed like you curate your diet. Research from ACPMN and Yale Medicine both emphasize that mindful, intentional use reduces negative effects and increases the positive ones. When we use social media consciously, instead of automatically, we get some of our power back. Examples of taking that back can be simply leaving a positive comment on someone's feed, or even essentially pushing the narrative of spreading positivity in a different light, whether that's sharing something positive to your story, or even just sharing a message of the day for someone who might be struggling, just to kind of help your feed push out those positive impacts in the algorithm rather than the negative ones. Before I end my tech talk today, I just want to end with this note of learning how to take your reality back. The things that you scroll past today or even tomorrow can shape your thoughts and what you think. Your thoughts end up shaping your beliefs, and your beliefs will shape your reality. Social media isn't going anywhere, and neither is our ability to choose how we show up in those type of spaces. If millions of people can scroll without thinking, imagine what could happen if millions of us were scrolling with awareness. We can learn how to take our reality back, one intentional moment at a time. I also want you to take this as a reflective time to kind of think back on moments where you can expand the positiveness of the algorithm. What can you do today when you scroll on social media that can lessen the negative impacts that it may have on our young adults and teens? What experiences can you share that can help people relate? What can you do personally that can allow other people to want to follow the movement? Again, my name is Maya Green, and I just presented my TED Talk. I hope that with the reality of social media and the things that I have given you today, that you will be able to take this and go a long way with it in a positive note. This is Maya Green, signing off.